All right, so I have the computer facing another direction because right now I got Columbus and the Rangers on. Columbus up 2-1. I just finished watching Calgary handle Carolina. And if you're a Calgary fan and you watch that game, you have to feel good about the team. Brian Elliott, it's the best goaltending he's been doing all summer. All summer. I look out the window, I'm like, hey, it's summer. No. Let me start that over. Brian Elliott, best goaltending he's had all season. That sounds better. And I think they're riding Elliott because they know they make it to the playoffs. They need Elliott. As well as Johnson has played in the playoffs, Elliott showed last year that he can get hot and he can lead a team, as he did with St. Louis. He's the guy Calgary needs to get going. Now, Goudreau's also going. So if Goudreau's on the hot streak and Elliott's going, guess what? It's going to be a rough race the rest of the way. Now, what Calgary winning does is gets them to 70 points. Winnipeg's 8 points back right now at Calgary. They can pretty much give up on that dream. For St. Louis, they have 3 games in hand on Calgary after that game today. St. Louis has a lot of work to do as well. But it does make things difficult for LA. Now, I said last night Quick's back, and Quick's going to make a big difference. And LA and Calgary are going to get to know each other pretty well, and I believe San Jose and Calgary have some games against each other as well. California and the Canadian teams are going to get to know each other very well over the next 20 games. I know last night Vancouver played San Jose, and they've got 3 more games left against San Jose, so I don't want to get into the Vancouver-San Jose game because it was rough. It was hard to watch knowing that Vancouver had half their defense out, and that McEnany was in over his head. He was completely in over his head. You know, and I don't say that to blame him for anything, because I don't. When you're an emergency call-up, you don't expect to be called up, and you're in a game, I salute you for taking the ice. I salute you for being out there, so I'm not going to say a bad thing about him. It was a rough game last night for Canuck fans, because anybody who's been arguing, oh, the Canucks are going to make the playoffs, Canucks are going to go on a run here, they're now 9 points back, and the team they're 9 points behind is St. Louis. So they're 4 points back at Winnipeg, 6 points back at LA, 9 points back at St. Louis, and 12 points back at Calgary. The dream is dead, people. Rebuild. So that's where that's going. Now, in terms of games today, Boston wins a key game in Dallas. I didn't get to see it because I was at work. By the time I came home, the game was over. I would have been cheering for Boston anyways because Boston is in a playoff spot. Dallas is never making the playoffs with this flipping roster. And it just, again, it's so maddening. Seeing a 6 spot put up against Dallas, it's like, geez, can we get some goaltending? No? Alright, well, at least it's Boston that put up the 6 spot. Marchand 3 points, I believe Bergeron had 3 points. Krug with 2 assists. Good. All these guys need to be going full bore for Boston to have a shot at making the postseason. And again, Cassidy has been an elixir for what was wrong with Boston. He really has. Boston's firing on all cylinders. There's a lot of good things going on with Boston right now. I'm very excited that at least one of my teams is looking like they're playoff bound. And even then, I can't just say, oh, they're going to make the playoffs. I can't just say that. Because there's too many things that can go wrong between now and then, and I will not commit to that. But this game between Columbus and the Rangers, if you're not watching it, listen to it, get a hold of the footage somehow, because these teams, it's going to be rough. If the Rangers have to win this game, and they're behind right now, because Columbus does have the 2 games in hand, and if they beat the Rangers, they move 1 point ahead of the Rangers, and those 2 games in hand can be key. I remember being told not too long ago, Winnipeg's still in it, and I'm like, well, these teams have games in hand, and you guys are going to sit for a while. Winnipeg sat. LA and Calgary both win their games. Nashville wins their games. St. Louis is playing relatively well. It can be rough. Really, really rough. And here's the sad thing. Apparently, it's already been negotiated that next year we're going to have these 5-day breaks as well. And I don't know a team that said we've really appreciated the 5-day break. The Canucks got a 5-day break, and 5 players got the mumps. And they still don't know from where, which baffles me, because I would think the mumps is such an isolated incident sort of thing that you would think they'd know exactly where they came in contact with it. I know there's an outbreak in Toronto, but I don't know where else, you know. I guess it's not like VD. I guess you can't figure out how the team, and that's a whole other thing. That's a whole, put that aside. And you don't pull a team out of, you don't pull players out of the team because they got crabs. You just have them shower separately from everybody else. But you don't pull them out of the lineup. Okay, I'm in a dark place. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the action for tonight and how it's gonna potentially change things. Oh hey, Edmonton Nashville started. I didn't know that. See, this is how flipping clueless I am today. Oh, I've been watching just Calgary and Carolina and enjoying watching Calgary play really, really well. And I mean that. I'm not kidding around here. I've genuinely been enjoying watching that. Oh yeah, Nashville's up 2-1 on Edmonton. Edmonton cannot get cold here. And the reason for that is simple. It's a young team. It's a fragile team. When a team has not made the playoffs in as long as it's been for Edmonton, there's a fragile ego here. And there's Oilers fans, and Toronto fans love this as well. That voice in the back of your head that goes, man, we're right in there. How's it going to fall apart this time? I know that because I'm a fan of these guys. And every time they make the playoffs, the first thought in my head is, how are they going to screw this up? It looks so good. How are they going to screw it up? The only years I ever got excited about Vancouver in the playoffs were 1993 and 2003. No, not the years they went to the finals. Those were the years that I got excited. And I'm not going to say 2007 because that was Luongo's first year. I think 2009. I thought, this could be the year, and then it just all fell apart. I don't think they made the playoffs that year. It was ugly. There's certain years I look at the Canucks lineup and I go, this is potentially a Stanley Cup winner. 93 was the first time I ever looked at Vancouver and said potential Stanley Cup winner. So when I look at the Oilers and I see McDavid and I see all these good young star players, there's going to be some excitement and there's going to be fans who just panic. Toronto, you got Matthews, you got Marner, you got all these young guys, and fans are just going to be waiting to panic because it's all going to fall apart. And that's real. That's where when I watch a Steve Dangle, what the hell's wrong with my mouth today? Steve Dangle. When I watch him and his manic Leaf fan reactions, there's Leaf fans that react that way. There's Canuck fans that react that way. There are certain Canadian hockey fans that, because we have not had a Stanley Cup since 1993, we just panic. We get all like, yeah, our team's better than your team. Our team's awesome. What do you mean they lost 5-0? What happened? Oh my God, fire the coach. Fire everybody. Why don't we just trade everybody? Let's just sell. We should just sell. Rebuild. Oh, we won 3-0. Who do we beat? Oilers? Yeah, screw the Oilers. Yeah, we're better. Oh, yeah. Canucks all the way. Woo, Canucks all the way. We lost to Calgary? Oh, we suck. Oh, jeez. How? That's how manic it is. And I've done my best this year not to get into that. And I'm actually going to do a video later on how this channel over the last, what we're looking at now, almost 10 months, how it's changed me as a hockey fan. And it has changed me as a hockey fan. I triggered somebody with my, there was one I had to mute him because it was just spam everywhere. My live reaction to the draft lottery. Yeah, I was very vocal about how much I did not like Toronto and I didn't want to hear about Toronto for the next year. Remember that. And that triggered people like, oh, you hate Toronto. No, see, this channel has changed me as a hockey fan. Completely. I'm not the same guy I was 10 months ago, and I'll get into that later. Okay, now, other action. Ottawa's in Florida. God, I'm hoping for Ottawa to win that one. Because then that would put Ottawa 2 points back of Montreal. Now, if Florida wins that one, it creates a bit of a cluster. It would tie them with the Islanders, put the 1 point back of Toronto for that second wildcard spot, and it puts Philly in a position where they're just done. Philly, I think that loss last night probably should be their death knell in terms of that playoff push. St. Louis is in Chicago. Huge game for the Blues. They need to win this. They need to win this, not for hopes of catching Chicago. They're not going to catch Chicago because all of the teams that were behind them are passing them. Nashville has passed them because Nashville's been playing well. Calgary's passed them. Calgary's been fantastic. The Kings are creeping up. They got to be hearing the Kings' footsteps right now, and if they lose tonight, then those footsteps are going to get louder. Buffalo's in Arizona. It's a matchup between two teams that aren't likely to go to the playoffs. Buffalo managed to lose against Colorado. I keep saying, oh, well, you're not going to take Colorado in a game, and then whenever I say that, they win. So, Buffalo and Arizona. Buffalo is in a position where they're going to have to really consider selling because they're 7 points back, and they have to leap over 1, 2, 3, 4. They have to leap over 5 teams to make the playoffs. It's not just the points back; it's the number of teams that are in between you and making the playoffs, and just the challenge that the number of 3-point games presents. So, yeah, this is kind of fun. Nashville wearing the blinding yellow jerseys that I know a lot of you guys like. I don't. It's rough when your team is wearing. They're not mustard. I think Nashville had those ugly, horrid yellow mustard jerseys just because they were going to put these goldenrod yellow jerseys out, and they decided to make us puke first. So when they brought these out, we go, well, they're better than that mustard crap they had on a couple years ago. So it's up in the air. I know Hockey News was praising them when they came out. I'm thinking the blue ones look better. It's just me, I guess. But yeah, so that's where we're at right now with the standings and everything that's going on. I'm not going to do another standings video after tonight because I just kind of did that. Let me know what you guys think from the early action today, how this has affected the playoff picture. Obviously, for Calgary right now, things look a lot better than they did as recently as a couple weeks ago. This is why I have not been posting videos about percentages on who's most likely to make it, who's most likely not to make it to the playoffs, because every day those percentages are changing. And in some cases, they're changing by a lot, because you can't just put everything through a computer and go, well, percentages say this team makes the playoffs. Like, the one part that really gets me is when I see 100% chance of these teams making the playoffs, and it's like, there's been collapses before. You can't give a team a 100% chance until they've actually clinched a playoff spot. It's dishonest. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I'm not posting that anymore. So I haven't been posting those percentages for that reason. I haven't got back into it because I thought there's no way that 5 of these teams are 100% locks. Any team can go on a nosedive. It can happen. I've watched it with 10 games left. A team just, 1-8-1 over the last 10, and they're out. I watched Dallas do it. I watched Vancouver do it. It's my teams, man. I've watched Boston do it. Where it's like, okay, cool, we're going to the playoffs. Oh, we're golfing. Why are they golfing? Why is everybody golfing? Oh, well, hell, screw my life. All right. Let me know in the comments below about times when teams have done that nosedive on you, how you feel about your team right now. Are you feeling okay? You feel good about the playoffs? I feel good about the playoffs. For Boston, I think if you cheer for these guys, you're feeling good about the playoffs right now. That win over Toronto was good last night for you guys. And if you're wearing this jersey, you're selling. Okay, you're selling. And if you're a Canuck fan, just it's okay. It's okay to sell this year. It's okay. I don't care who they draft. It's okay. Sign Besser. Make sure Besser's in the lineup next year. Make sure Demko's ready to be a backup next year. And hope that you draft the right guy. And maybe Levy's ready to go next year, and then things start looking better for Vancouver. It's not all doom and gloom. And one last thing. Jason damned Botchford is on TSN again. Was it yesterday or the day before? I have like this PTSD with Botchford. I've been accused of being over the top at times, and that's fine. But Botchford's need to criticize and shit all over Vancouver management, no matter how good or bad the team is, it really wears thin on me, and I'm not sure why TSN relies on him as an insider and an expert. as soon as they said, "Do you think the Canucks should move on from the Sedins?" and I'm trying to think, it was Gino Reda, I think, asked him that question, and he's like, "Yep, yep, yep. It's time to move on. Time to move on." They're moving on. Horvat's their number one center. You have to be blind not to see that the Sedins have been moved to secondary players behind whatever Horvat is doing and whoever he's playing with. The transition has begun already. And for Botchford to just, oh, it's time to... Botchford doesn't know squat. He doesn't know anything. All he knows is what Joe Thornton would do if he scores 4 goals in a game. That's all he's good at reporting. Outside of that, I don't understand why he's being interviewed by all these organizations and why TSN uses him as the Vancouver expert. What do you think the Canucks need to do? Well, Botchford's answer is going to be blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, because he's been saying it since 2012. That's all he's said since 2012. Blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, blow it up. He is what's wrong with media. I think he's part of the reason why there's YouTube channels like this that exist now that people pay attention to, because they say this crap just so people will talk to them. I don't know if maybe Botchford believes everything he says, maybe he doesn't. But his answer to everything seems to be blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, and all he does is shit all over management. I give Benning props when he makes good moves. I don't crap all over. Think about this. When was the last time that I mentioned Jim Benning and I made a sarcastic, snarky remark about him? It's been a while. There's a reason. I can see what he's doing. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily. Is he against a wall? Kinda. But, Botchford it's like he can't wait to shit all over the Canucks. So there's another challenge in the comments below. You guys all have it. You have local reporters. If you're in New York, you got Larry Brooks. You got these guys who just can't wait to crap all over the local team and talk about how everything sucks. And it's almost as if when the team's doing well, they run out of things to talk about. They run out of topics. And it's almost like they're upset when the team's doing well. And they'll still, even when, a team can be on a 6-game winning streak. And they'll look them up and go, well, this isn't really a winning streak that's sustainable. Now, I said at the start of the before anybody says anything, I said at the start of the season the Vancouver Canucks 4-game winning streak wasn't sustainable because all they were doing was winning in overtime and shootouts. And they were coming from behind. And I said, you can't allow the first goal in every game and hope to win. This is not going to work. And it hasn't. The Canucks have had a poor record in terms of scoring first goals, and it's killing them right now. So early in the season, I said, this is not a recipe for success. And I was told, they're winning, who cares? That's the problem. Because players after the game will go, hey, we won. And it's a bad habit to get into. But I just see the negativity in some of the reporting. It's like, wow, really? They're just going to crap all over it? And then you watch broadcasts from some of these players, or some players. Kirk McLean in a Canuck jersey. Oh man, that's the 94 too. I miss those Canucks. I miss these guys, the 94 Canucks, a lot. The Kirk McLeans, Lindens, Jeff Courtnall, Cliff Ronning. Not Jeff Brown. But anyways, yeah, so that's, if you guys have local media that tick you off the way, talk about it in the comments below. Let's all come together and really bond over this. And, yeah, don't forget to hit like and subscribe while you're here. Hey, you want to come back, right? You want to come back and hear more about this and how this channel has affected me as a hockey fan. I'm going to do a video on that next. And it has had a large effect on me. It has. And thank you, because you guys are what make this work. And I will talk to you all again very, very soon.